In this episode, we're going to discuss the components that should be included in your will. Have you ever wondered, do I have everything that I need? Did I miss a section? What am I supposed to do? What does a will look like? They have a lot of do it yourself kits, they have a lot of templates, but you just want to make sure while this information included in this episode is not all inclusive, it gives you a starting place. Before we get started in today's episode, I do want to let you all know in my disclaimer that I am not an attorney. I am not licensed to give legal advice. However, I can share my personal experience with you in hopes that you will hear something on this podcast that will prompt you and get you in a space where you are planning ahead to make sure your loved ones have peace of mind when you transition. Now, let's get started in today's episode. The first component that you should include in the will is your information, your full name, the country that you live in, your state of residence should be in this section. In addition, it should also include a statement revoking any previous wills that you have executed in the past. Another component that you should include in your will is the executor. In this section, you will detail the person that will oversee your estate and ensure that your assets and properties are distributed as you have outlined in your will. Another component that you should include in your will is the beneficiaries. This is the section where you will give all the information of the beneficiaries, whether it is a person and or an organization that will receive your assets and your property. Another component that you should include is the guardianship. In the guardianship component, you will give detailed instructions on who will have guardianship over your minor children. In this section, you will also include information to transfer guardianship of an adult, such as you may be a caregiver for your parents, your siblings, co-workers, family, friends, and or neighbors. Another component that should be included in your will are detailed lists of all of your assets and properties. For example, real estate, investments, businesses, personal possessions. The list can go on and on. You should detail all the items that will be distributed to your beneficiaries, whether again your beneficiaries is an individual or an organization. Another component that you will include in your will is your debt and your taxes. This is where you would give detailed instructions and outline the plan set aside to pay your debts. And what assets will be used to satisfy those debts. How are you funding those debts so that they can be cleared up by the executor of your will? Another component that you will include in your will is general provisions. This is the catch all provision. And this depends on your situation, but this is where you would catch all the things that may not have been included in the other components of your will. Another component of your will is a no contest provision. This is where you address the possibility of someone contesting your will in probate. Another component that should be included in your will is a definition section. In this component, you will outline keywords and or phrases that you may have used in your will to clear them up. You will give a definition for the word or phrase that you use in your will, which will avoid any confusion as to what you actually meant. Another component, and most of all, this is the last component, it should be on the last page, is your signature section. This section includes 3 signatures, yours and 2 witnesses. I recommend that you have your witnesses should be individuals that are not named in your will, so that is to just keep everybody clear and there's not a conflict of interest. A recommendation that we also have is you should sign your will using blue ink. Blue ink is the one that you can be identified mostly authentically as an original document with a wet signature or a copy. Black ink, with the advanced technology of computers and printers, can look like or be perceived to be an original copy of the original copy of the will. Here, as we sum things up, these are the components that should be included in your will. Although it's not inclusive, it just gives you a starting point. Again, I am not an attorney and I am not licensed to give you legal advice. I am just sharing my experiences with you. On this podcast, we say make a plan, put it in writing, because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Until next time, peace.